When the mind feels crowded with voices, journaling is the tool that clears the room. Journaling is about finding your own voice again. See, most people think journaling is just about keeping a diary, but in reality, it's actually a mirror. It reflects back the thoughts that swell too fast for us to catch. When thoughts stay in the head, they blend together. Your voice, other people's voices, fear, hope, all gets tangled up. On paper, they actually start to separate. Patterns emerge, and that's where clarity begins. Journaling works because it slows the mind down to the speed of your writing. It forces honesty, and over time, it becomes a record for the self, proof of growth, proof of resilience, proof that the inner voice is still there, waiting to be heard. Initially, I used to think journaling was more in terms of like, affirmations or key point prayer points that I wanted to make to God. So I only used to write in what I used to call my diary back then in terms of what it was that I was hoping for from God, what I really wanted to achieve that year, that season. So it would always be points. Lord, I have this. Lord, I have that. Lord, help me through this. It wasn't until I still remember when I completed my GP training and I felt like I was at a crossroad, and I went to see my priest and I said, you know what? I finished training. I don't know what to do. I feel like God is calling me to move away from home, to do something more, but I'm just not sure. And he recommended that I go to this Jesuit retreat in Wales. And when I say it was one of the most profound experiences I've ever had, it's an understatement. Not only during that period did I uncover things that I didn't even know were bubbling under the surface, I understood what writing really meant to me. I still remember my spiritual guide saying to me that, have you ever considered that your writing is prayer? And I'd never seen it like that. I just thought this was just me, having whatever imagination, waking up from whatever, having whatever feelings or emotions that I just couldn't express, and I would write it down on paper. And often it would end with, Dear Lord, tell me what to do next, or it would come from some sort of spiritual moment, encounter. It was only then that I realized what it was. And she encouraged me to write. She was like, stop not seeing it as just you're just writing, but actually, this is prayer. This is you in communion with God. And I remember the day that I went through the labyrinth, and this was something else that I learned then. I did not know the spiritual relevance of labyrinth till this retreat. And I stood in front of our Mother Mary, and it just came through. It was all coming through, the thoughts, the feelings in that moment. And it was just so how much anger I had towards my grandmother, who was my main caregiver when I was little, leaving, dying. I felt that she had abandoned me. I felt, even though this was something that obviously she couldn't control, but I felt that, I wanted to know, God, well, why did she have to go? Why was I not one of those children that got to enjoy their grandparents when they were older? I felt so much pain in regards to that. And it was surprising to me because I hadn't thought about my grandmother in so long. But in that moment, I realized that I needed to let go of that. I realized that I needed to forgive her, to understand that she didn't abandon me. She didn't go because, she just didn't want to, kind of thing. That was her time. It was her time to go back to the Father. And in that moment, writing, looking around my fellow retreatants, looking at everybody, and it was a silent retreat, everybody in deep thought, in prayer, as I wrote these words down and said, Grandmummy, as I used to call her, I forgive you. I love you. I want to know that you're happy where you are, and I know that you are in the bosom of our Lord. And I let go of all that anger, you know? And it was just in that moment that I realized how important writing, and not just when I would write fiction, but writing when I would not know exactly what I wanted to say to God or what I wanted to express in terms of my emotion, just sitting down with that notebook, with that piece of paper, sometimes even my phone nowadays, if that moment comes to me when I'm on a walk, and just letting the words come out unfiltered. So, how can journaling help you find yourself again? Well, let's break it down. Number one, stream of consciousness writing. Set a timer for 5 to 10 minutes and write without stopping, no matter what comes out. Even if it feels messy, pointless, or repetitive, keep the pen moving. This exercise clears mental clutter the way taking out the trash clears a room. Beneath the surface noise, hidden thoughts begin to show up. The practice actually helps you see what's really going on in your mind, not just what's the loudest. Number two, voice separation exercise. Take a recurring thought you keep hearing in your head and write it down, just like that. And then ask, whose voice is this? Label it honestly. Is it a parent, teacher, friend, culture, or is it your own? Seeing it on paper with a clear label creates distance. This helps you stop caring about other people's voices and seeing them as your own. It's the bridge between the second video in the series and this one. Number three, values journaling. Sit down and write a list of what matters to you most right now. Focus on today, not the past or what you think should matter. Name the values that actually guide your choices at this stage of your life. When you can see your priorities written out, it gets easier to align decisions with them. This kind of journaling anchors you to your authentic self instead of drifting with old expectations. Number four, dialogue journaling. On one side of the page, let your inner critique speak and write down every doubt, demand, or harsh line it throws at you. On the other side, let your inner guide answer back. Don't rush to the silence, the critique. Let the conversation unfold. Over time, you'll notice that the authentic voice gets clearer and stronger when given the space to speak. This exercise is like giving your true self a microphone. Journaling is about reclaiming the voice that's been buried under noise. Every page is a step back to yourself. First, we uncover why self-trust is hard. Then we learned how to identify whose voice is in your head. Now, journaling becomes the bridge back to authenticity. The goal is not only to quiet the noise, it's to hear yourself clearly again.